Recording. Okay.
I
And
understand I think there's people that are trying to get on.
oh,
Um, Let me just text this person.
uh, okay.
Sorry.
No problem at all. I want more the better. Yeah, I don't have any folks showing up just yet,
Hmm.
but
I
I'm
think
happy to. Yeah.
I think they're having an issue logging on for some reason. Our invitation had the join here at the very bottom, and maybe they're missing it.
Okay.
But
I've
yeah, there's probably people that will join.
I'm sure of it. And so I've also asked my colleague to resend the link. But it is everything. Everything is opened for them to join.
Hmm.
And I'm happy to repeat things. And so it's no big deal. But I do want to get started in the interest of your time, Suzanne. So,
Okay.
um, okay. And again, if any of your colleagues or friends, if they need our assistance here, to facilitate it further, happy to do so. Okay. All
Okay.
right. So, well, good afternoon again. My name is Marcus Wadsworth, and I am here representing Wunsupona.com. Okay. And so Wunsupona.com is it's a team-based approach to health and wellness. Everything from what we're discussing today as far as self-defense, all the way to looking good, feeling good, and getting a clean bill of health every time you see the doctor. So I absolutely encourage you to check out their website, our website, and let me just type it up. Whoops. So you have that reference. Whoop. It's not Wunsupona now, sorry. Wunsupona, sorry. Okay. Hi, Tawana. And so I'm here representing Wunsupona.com. Once upon a time, that's what it stands for. And like I said, we do everything from self-defense, health and wellness, looking good, feeling great. Check us out at onceuponA.com, once upon a time. So thank you so much. And so what we're here to discuss is self-defense. And so not only is self-defense the ability to react to a specific situation, but it's also the ability to be proactive with prevention. Okay. And so super important as far as get, not getting involved with an issue in the first place. Okay. So today we're going to discuss scenarios, possible environments in which these types of things occur more than other environments. We're going to address how we're going to talk about how to address those particular situations specifically and the most effective ways to address those situations. We're also going to talk about myth versus reality and everything in between that range. So there's things that are never going to work that we think might work, and things that will work, and the things that are on the higher percentage of efficacy and the lower percentage of efficacy. So that's what we're going to go through today. And most importantly, prevention. We never want to get in a sticky wicket to start off with. So we want to absolutely preclude any kind of incidents and where an assault or a self-defense situation could occur. And so at any point in time, please leave, if you have any questions or anything, leave it in the chat box. This is protected information. It's private information. So you'll want to private message me to participate. So, but first and foremost, Suzanne and Tawana, Jesse, let's get up, let's stand up, let's get the blood flowing, let's get a warm up together. And so, but what we want to do here is we want to create kind of a scenario in our head. So we want to understand what we're dealing with. So we're going to be warming up. Let's just get our bodies moving, but we're in a self-defense situation. So let's have an imaginary person in front of us at a particular line in space, a shadow, if you will, in front of us, and we're going to shadow box that just to get our blood flowing for a little bit. So let's get off our seats and let's do some shadow boxing. And I'm going to add some pointers as we go about 90 seconds. Let me just adjust my calendar so you can get a better view of what I'm doing here. And so we're shadow boxing. We're throwing punches. We're throwing combinations, okay? A few pointers. We don't have to memorize this, but we want to guard our face. And that's why the boxers always say, keep your hands up, keep your hands up. My elbows are loose, yet tight. I'm guarding my vital organs here. I'm also on the balls of my feet. So we're going to be throwing our punches. I want you to shadow box. I want you to move around. If you'll notice, I'm not crossing my legs. Don't cross your legs. Now, we don't have to memorize all of this stuff. We don't have to. What I want you to do is just get your body moving in some shadow boxing. And we're also attacking that line there, that shadow in front of us. Go as fast or as slow as you want. We got about 30 seconds left. Let's turn it on. Get that heart rate up. Excellent. Okay. Just about 15 seconds to go. We're shadow boxing. Now, if you don't want to get up and you haven't gotten up, you can just stay in your seat, but we want to get that movement going, but it's better because we want to be moving. Okay. That's 90 seconds. Got the heart rate up. Excellent. Okay. All right. So martial arts. It's a huge subject, a wide variety of subjects. But the 20th century was pivotal for martial arts and self-protection, obviously, with entertainment and inventions and everything, the internet. It has progressed so fast. But in the early 20th century, it was all about traditional martial arts and Eastern cultures, Taekwondo, Judo, Kung Fu, well, several actually. And so they're called, in the fighting world, we call them TMAs, traditional martial arts. Bruce Lee was huge. Chuck Norris was huge in bringing this all around the world. And during the 20th century, there was, especially in Japan, there was an ambassadorship throughout the whole world for things like judo. And so why am I bringing this up? So in the 20th century, a Japanese judo player, judo fighter, went to Brazil to bring judo there. Well, a family named the Gracies, if you might have heard of them, Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, converted the sport of judo, Japanese judo, into Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Why is this important? It changed the name of grappling and self-defense, and the Gracies, created a style that was more applicable to the smaller person, to the female, to fighting from your back in a grappling and self-defense situation. During that time in Rio de Janeiro, the Gracies would go to different gyms of the TMAs, the traditional martial arts. Hey, welcome, Ali, Holly. Oh, good. Gosh, got a lot of people joining up. Great. Hi, folks. I see a lot of people have joined up. My name is Marcus Wadsworth. You started a little bit late. I represent Wunsupona.com if you want to just check us out in that chat box. These are protected communications, so you're going to want to send me a private message, okay? And the video is being recorded. Right now, we're talking about the tradition of martial arts and how we got to a self-defense point right now. And so forgive for digressing there. But so the Gracies would go to different schools and challenge them in straight fights. And it was shown to be effective, the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, against all of these different styles. And so what evolved from there is a lot of us are familiar with mixed martial arts, and commonly known the UFC, Ultimate Fighting Championship. This is a sport, but what has happened through that process, through martial arts, we can understand better than ever what actually works in a self-defense situation. We're so used to the movies. We're so used to seeing these things, katas, these kind of choreographed movements that are not necessarily realistic in a real world fighting situation, okay? And so now all styles have a value. And if you are trained in a particular style, it can be very difficult to deal with. But as far as our brass tacks and dealing with the bases of self-defense, we're not doing a sport. We're doing real life self-defense. So there is, there's a difference there. Okay, sorry, one moment here. I'm just muting. Okay, so folks, real quick question for you, and please join in on the chat box. Is it just me, or is stuff going crazy out there? It seems that assaults are through the roof, crime is through the roof, crazy interactions between folks are through the roof. Please chime in, whatever. Thank you, CJ. I was wondering, is it the media? Is it me? Am I watching too much TV? But it seems like things are at a fever pitch as far as tension, mental illness, and unfortunately, the result of that is more violence, and it's scary out there, okay? And so we need, at all times, regardless of what the zeitgeist is, the spirit of the times, we need to be prepared for any kind of given situation anyway. Thanks, Tawana. Yeah, Christina.
Oh my God.
So it's not just me, right?
I'm in, dude.
Huh?
I'm in.
Okay. I'm gonna mute some folks if you could. Sorry about that. I muted myself for a moment. If we could just all mute ourselves just to streamline things a little bit. Thank you so much. So yeah, it is crazy out there, but let's be prepared for that craziness. Let's be strong. Let's not be potential victims. Okay, let's go through a couple things that happen out there. So the extreme example, firearms. A lot of talk about firearms lately, right? Okay. How do you defend against a firearm? Any thoughts out there? Huh? You don't. The gun is the most efficient weapon known to mankind other than WMDs and rocket launchers. But the projectile firearm is far most efficient weapon. All my jiu-jitsu, Muay Thai, mixed martial art training doesn't hold a candle to a pulled trigger. So that needs to be emphasized. So how do we defend that? We surrender. We cannot defend against the gun. And so, thank you, Tyler. So that's a very precarious situation. And so that's not what we're discussing today, gun defense. But don't be a hero. This is your life we're talking about. If it's a robbery, property means nothing. Life means everything. So at another level, obviously, also take a step back, guns mitigate distance. We're talking a lot about distance today. It's a projectile. It can get far, even if you're running. However, knives, sharpened blades, these types of things, handheld weapons, okay, well, they are still lethal. We still have the same response of being careful for our own well-being, our lives. And so we don't want to use drastic movements unless we absolutely have to. And so if someone has a sharp blade pointed at you, we don't want to be careless. But today what we want to discuss is more of the hand-to-hand situations where people, just might throw a punch or trying to rob, that kind of thing. So let's focus on that a little bit more. And everything within hand-to-hand revolves around fight or flight. But let's add another F, or freeze. Fight and flight are preferable. Freeze is never an option. We don't want to be a deer in headlights. We do not want to be an opossum and play dead. That is not effective. I'm going to refer to the natural world a little bit today. But fear, fear is everything in these situations. It can be good because it can create awareness and I can know what I'm dealing with in my environment, okay? But again, it can be a negative thing if you freeze. And once you realize within these situations, everything is a matter of seconds. And so if you're frozen, you're already in trouble. You're already dead. You're already robbed, okay? And forgive me being if that's too much, but these are serious situations. So it's flight, run, or fight. freeze is never an option, but we can't dictate how we respond to fear, can we? Unless we have trained those reactions. When we have an adrenaline rush, when we have cortisol being secreted by our adrenal glands. So if we could, folks, what do you experience when you have fear? Whether it's public speaking or just nervous about meeting someone, self-defense situation. How do you individually react to fear? Just throw some things out. Me specifically, I get nervous in my stomach. My stomach gets in knots. My mother shakes. What are those things out there that, just add in the chat box. How do you react to fear? Some people will freeze, and that's what I'm trying to get at, as well as being anxious. Yeah, CJ, me too. Me too. And so that nervousness can distract you. So what I'm trying to get at here with the fear aspect is trying to direct that fear into being a tool towards to be an asset of your self-defense process. Okay. And so, now cortisol, adrenaline, they're secreted by your adrenal glands that lay on the top of your kidneys. And so we've all heard the stories of a mother pulling up a car off of the child. And so adrenaline, cortisol, they can make you into a superhuman. No question about it. But what happens after about 30 to 60 seconds, after what we call in the fight world an adrenaline dump? If you don't have sufficient physical fitness, you are going to be what we called gassed, completely out of air. And with all the lactate and all these chemical reactions with your metabolism that occurs during a self-defense and adrenalized situation, if you're not in good shape, it's going to be a very difficult time for you. And that adrenaline dump afterwards, after the adrenaline and cortisol has been dispersed, you can be in really bad shape. So we want to be able to train ourselves to perpetuate that strength and level of energy and output, okay? And so, but we also need to know how to direct that energy. And so let's go back. So let's talk about what works, what does not work. So we have everything from myth to what is absolutely effective. And there's a whole range of things in between that can be effective, are not as effective, or depending on the situation. This is an extremely dynamic scenario, right? Self-defense. So for one, it's never pretty. It's not like in the movies. It's not John Wick with all these beautiful movements and your opponent is dealt with immediately. Of course, we all know that. That's an easy myth, no problem. But there are some other, and it's always different, right? So the one consistent thing is that there is a presupposed victim and there's someone trying to assail, or people trying to assail that victim. So if we could throw out what you think are some myths about self-defense, okay? What doesn't work? Or, just throw out some ideas. What if someone's coming, is approaching you in an aggressive manner, wants to hurt you? What is not going to work? So give it some thought. Throw it in the chat there. Many ideas. Reason with. Oh, I love it. So reason with them. No, not going to happen. Pleading with them. Maybe CJ, but gosh, they already had that intent when they left the house to do wrong. So I absolutely agree. Sense of reason with someone who is unreasonable. Does that make a lot of sense? I love it. Unagi, I don't get that. Oh, what does that mean, Marie? You want to elaborate? I'm very curious. Now I'm going to Google that. Unagi, Marie. Friends reference. Oh, okay. Well, that's my generation. Why don't I know that? Okay. Anyway, so let me touch upon a couple things, okay? So some big myths, okay? The professional wrestling myth. And so folks like me grew up in the 80s. things that happen in professional wrestling, like hip tosses, choke slams, body slams, big stomps, all these things, they are never, ever, ever going to work unless it's you're with your little brother. So wrestling, professional wrestling's out the door. Okay. Some other things, the gun defense, the quick gun defense where you move the weapon out of your way. Somehow your body is faster than their trigger finger. Good luck with that. Okay. Another myth I'll reference that folks, a lot of people in the martial arts world have fallen victim to is, oh gosh, Christine, absolutely. And so, you know, as far as size differences, you need to know how to approach things if you are the weaker of the two, and size can dictate that. So, and so that absolutely, knowing that you're not going to Christine just mentioned that thinking you're going to overpower someone who is clearly stronger than you. That's a great, I mean, nice and simple. Christine, that's exactly right. So we have to change our approach in that regard. Okay. And fast. Back to the, another myth, the traditional martial artist, the pressure points. Okay. I'm a Trekkie, a Star Trekkie. The Vulcan death grip is not going to work. The pressure point on the clavicle or using chakra points, it's not going to work. The assailant's adrenaline is going to mitigate that regardless. Okay. And so the pressure point won't work. Maybe it works when you have a person that you're training with and they let you do it. It's not an effective style. Also, you know, but those are like extremists. There's a whole range in between. So I want to touch upon the things that are considered common knowledge, but not necessarily all that effective. And so one of those attacks or defenses is the kick to the groin. Okay, yes, that does work. Speaking from a male's perspective, yes, it does. But you have a specific target. You also have to wind up, which is also a telegraphing it, meaning you are telling the person beforehand what you're going to do by the wind up. So yes, it's effective. Lost my earbud. Yes, it's effective, but it has to land. If you don't land, you're going to hit their hip, you're going to hit their quad, not that much damage. So you've wasted that initial, very important movement. Same thing with the eye gouge. Small target that can be mitigated with something as simple as the eyelids closing. That's what they're there for. And the reaction there is instinctive. So you're not going to catch the eyelids off guard. Another thing that's, you know, not as high percentage, our pepper sprays, our keys. They're very effective if they're in your hand, but if they're not in your hand, what good are they, right? So if we do have that awareness and we're understanding that there is someone around us that is possibly wants to do damage to us.
They sent me a new link. They must have.
Okay, 1 sec. And so if someone wants to do it, you have to have that weapon or weapons available. So the keys in between the hands, yes, it's effective. It's nasty. But if it's not in your hands, in your purse or in your wallet, your pocket, it's no good to anybody. Okay. And so same deal as far as a karate chop to the throat. You have to aim right there and get it. It can be effective. It'll disable the folks. But if there's a height difference, they pull their chin in, there's a lot of things that can happen that can mitigate that strike to the throat. So therefore, it's not as high percentage. So we want to go with something that's going to be high percentage, that's going to be effective, that's going to be a one-shot stop and be able to mitigate the attack. So what are we going to do? So if I can just adjust my camera slightly. It's called the front kick, or in Muay Thai, the national sport of Thailand, Muay Thai, it's called 8-point striking because we use 8 points, elbows, hands, knees, and shins, never the feet. You're going to break your foot if you kick with the foot. You kick with the shin, okay? Except for now, because if someone's attacking me, hands are up, remember. I'm doing a front kick to the knee. It is an open target. It's a big target. Most likely there is a knee that is facing you. The knee only goes one direction. So if you kick it to go in another direction, well, the next person they mug, they better have a ramp to get there, because they're gonna be in rehab a long time if you catch that knee just right. So, okay, let's do about 90 seconds. Let's get up off our seats and let's practice our front kick. Our hands are up, our elbows are loose, but still ability to protect our vital organs. And we're going to do a front kick to the knee. And we're going to imagine our assailant in front of us, a shadow, our line in space. And we're going to move for, we got 70 seconds left. We're going to do a front kick, or the front leg. And we're going to snap it out. And that kick is just, and all the better if you can get an angle on the knee to go back and away. Oh my gosh, it is not a good day for them. And then once you achieve that strike, and they're never going to expect that. Everyone expects something to the face. You get that strike to the knee, they're going to be incapacitated. You're going to be able to run, get it done. It's always about stopping the attack, creating distance, and getting away. Okay, so it's really important. So the most effective, bar none, self-defense technique is a front kick to the knee. It is most likely, again, the most forward-leaning thing, the knee. The quickest thing we can do is snap that leg out while maintaining adequate distance without running. So pop that knee. So, and good job. That's enough. You can sit down again. So great job, folks. Distance dictates the fight. Distance dictates everything. So what we were doing that just then with the front kick, we're maintaining our distance so they can't get a punch. If we're going to be, even if you're a shorter guy like me, my leg is still longer than your arm, okay? But what happens when we get closer to middle distance? That's when we're using our hands. That's when boxing gets involved. That's when the knees and elbows get involved, but that's a little bit more technical. We're not going to be able to achieve any mastery today. This is what we want to do is plant a seed in for self-defense in your heart, or build upon what you have already learned here. So that's why I'm focusing on very simple techniques that work and then can get you moving away from the situation, okay? So in middle distance, if the kicks are no longer available, we're going to do a combination, a boxing combination. And we've heard these terms before. So we're going to start out with a jab. See how my hands are to my face and I bring my hands back to my face. Your jab is going to be your weak hand. So if you're right-handed, you're going to be jabbing with your left hand, and you're going to lead with that weaker side. That's going to maintain distance, okay? Second is our cross or our straight. It's also known as the 2. So our jab is the 1, our cross is the 2. So 1, 2, hands back to the head. And then the 3. So this is our combination. 1, 2, 3. And the third is the hook, named obviously because it's a hook formation. So we have our jab, also known as the 1, our cross, also known as the 2, and the hook. Okay? And so they may be able to deal with the jab, may be able to block that. They may be able to block the 2. But the 1, 2, 3 coming around with the hook, they're not going to be able to anticipate that. Folks are never used to a combination. You're going to get hit by either the 2 or the 3 if the 1 didn't pop you in the nose, meaning the jab. So a combination is extremely effective, especially for those who against those who do not have training. So, okay. And then the third level of distance is the close counters grappling. Okay. Grappling is highly technical. It's all about physics. It's all about leverage. It's about size or using one size against them. We can't even touch upon all the different aspects of grappling right now, but I do encourage all of you to check out some Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu or Sambo gyms. They're throughout the country. They are everywhere. All ages, all skill types, weights, whatever. It is the reason I emphasize this so much is that 95% of your fights, assaults, or in sport with mixed martial arts, it goes 1, 2, 3, and to the ground. It's immediately a wrestling match. And so when you're wrestling, that's when you're in close quarters, and that's when your eye gouges, your throat punches, that's more effective because those targets are going to be closer to you. You can also bite. So let's get up and start biting. I'm just kidding, a little levity, sorry. No, we're not going to practice biting. We can do that at dinner tonight. But seriously, when we're in the grappling situation and someone is you're so right. But well, did it work for Mike Tyson? I don't think so. Thank you, Tyler. I'm just kidding. If you want your cameras on, you can have them. But let's keep ourselves moving though. Okay, I digress. So, but seriously, when you're in those close counters, a bite is appropriate. There's a rock there, smash him in the head. Do what you can to get on your feet, create distance, run, okay? But let me take a step back. I neglected to mention an extremely important point for our front kick or our striking. Unless you are running and have the necessary distance where someone can't hurt you or catch up to you, you will never turn your back on your opponent. Never, ever, ever. We don't fight like this. And if you do, and you're effective, you don't need to be watching this right now. So therefore, we are always square with our opponent. They never get an angle on us. Everything is angles. If you're a golfer, baseball, any sport involves angles. Martial arts is no different. When you have an angle on someone, you can take their body in a direction they don't want to go. Humans go forward and backward. We don't go side to side well. Okay, so again, folks, let's get up. We're going to summarize those techniques, just the two we learned in the striking category, okay? We're going to start, I prefer we start out with our front kick. Let me adjust the counter so you can see my whole body. All right, folks, we're going to do about 90 seconds here. I want your front kick, pop it out, snap it out, and you'll see I'm not necessarily pushing down. I'm pushing my hips forward. These are details. We don't need to master these. We're not going to master everything in one day, but these techniques will surprise the heck out of a possible assailant, God forbid. So we're going to do that front kick and then a 1, 2, 3. We're never crossing our legs. We're guarding our face. We're using our elbows to guard our vital organs. Front kick, 1, 2, 3. Be as fast or as slow as you want. We're going to be dealing with that line in front of us, somewhere in the environment, somewhere in space, that shadow. So we're shadow boxing. We got about 50 seconds left. Front kick, 1, 2, 3. You can use also just the other front kick, whichever leg. Now, I tend to use my back, which actually is not necessarily the most effective. The front kick, that's best because you have the least amount of wind up or telegraphing to your opponent what you're going to do. Telegraphing is some sort of movement that indicates what's going to happen next. So let's keep going. Come on. Get your heart rate up. I'll tell you, someone tries to mess with you and you provide and you have these techniques, it's all over. Because why? Excuse me. Criminals are cowards. Okay. They don't want to deal with the challenge. And we're going to touch upon that more as far as fear and confidence goes. So as we touch upon that, the best fighting, oh yes, Christine, they are not expecting confrontation. They're looking for victims. So we're going to touch upon that big time. And so fighting is the worst case scenario. It's a last ditch effort. Like I've been emphasizing totally, we want distance. We want to be able to get out of that situation. The real victory is going home to my wife and my dog and my cat. Okay, that's the real trophy. True martial arts is never getting in a conflict. So we have to.
I'm a little early.
Okay. And so awareness, it's huge. Awareness of our surroundings. So in the chat box, my friends, take a wild guess, just out of nowhere. What is so prevalent nowadays that we all tend to do that destroys our awareness on a day-to-day basis while we're walking? Oh, ding, 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 ding. Keep it coming. Earbuds, cell phones, TikTok, Instagram. Kids, oh, that's a good point. But what I do want to focus is on the very easy answer is our earbuds. I am outside Washington, D.C. I grew up in Washington, D.C., in an urban area. You drive around Washington, D.C., it will blow your mind how many people walk blind and deaf, most literally, because yes, they have the senses, they're on autopilot, they know where they're going, la-di-da. We all know that you see the screen and your peripheral vision is taking care of the major motor functions of getting you from point A to point B. It's same thing, and even less so with our ears. Okay, let's think about the natural world. A rabbit. In Northern Virginia, we have lots of rabbits and foxes. Great example. The rabbit has what? Huge ears to be able to hear with. Huge eyes on either side of the head to be able to sense predators. And they are absolutely super fast, so they can run. All the necessary defense mechanisms for self-defense, right? But we as humans, the most intelligent chosen being on the planet Earth, have chosen to blind and deafen ourselves, even in situations in a world where violence is at what seems to be, in my lifetime, the worst ever. Does that make a hell of a lot of sense? No, it doesn't. And so we can all wait for our texts. We can wait to hear that song till we're in a more of a private situation, or at least that we're, or into at least a situation where we're a little bit more comfortable and there's not a lot of question marks as far as our safety, or just for the lack, cars, you know, because other people in cars are checking their texts and everything, and they not be watching the pedestrians. So it just encompasses so many things as far as being aware of your surroundings. And so it's simple, but it can be a huge problem for folks. And again, I referenced the DC metropolitan area. We see all these scary stories about folks at the metro, at the subway station, minding their own business, not paying attention. And some crazy person assaults them. One person was thrown on anyway. I don't need to elaborate further. Okay. So, but someone touched on it before, being less attractive towards a criminal, a predator doesn't want to approach you if they think they're going to have an issue with you. Because why? Criminals are cowards. If they worked half as hard at getting a real job and doing something productive as they do at working on being a jerk towards their fellow man, they'd be super successful. It's amazing to me. But they are cowards and they are afraid. So once there is some resistance, they're going to go to the next person. So that's why fear can really hurt you, as far as if you seem like you're afraid, that's attractive to them. So how do we, so folks, throw some things in the chat box, what you can do to seem less attractive as prey, that you are not a victim to someone who wants to take something from you, that thinks that you're easy pickings. And so the old saying, I don't have to be faster than the bear. I just have to be faster than you when the bear is chasing me. It's kind of a flippant response, but we need just to take care of, if we have to take care of number one, everything else is off the bet. So what can we do? Throw some ideas out there, folks. What can you do to be less of an attractive victim to a potential criminal, coward, assailant? Any ideas? Very simple stuff. In the natural world, for example, the bear thing, thank you, Rod, absolutely. Absolutely. So that that paying attention to surroundings, clearly, if your eyes are, I mean, that's a great segue. Stay vigilant. Yes, Suzanne, absolutely. And both of those lead into my point, our posture. So I did a lot of hiking back in the day and mountaineering and all that stuff. So one way to deal with bears is to become big. Don't run, they'll beat you. Could you become big and loud? That's an extreme example. Interesting. I love that. Your hippie looking. No one wants to mess with your hippie looking husband, Christine. That's awesome. But what we want to do to be less attractive, and so that they go on to the next poor individual, a strong posture, a deliberate movement forward. I'm aware of my surroundings, as Rod indicates. As Suzanne indicates, staying vigilant. So in the personal training world, my shoulders are retracted slightly and slightly depressed. What does that do? That increases how my neck is erect. And I'm looking forward, not necessarily making eye contact, but not avoiding it either. Thank you, Tawana. Walk with purpose. We've studied beforehand, obviously. So we are not afraid. We don't, and if we are afraid, we're not going to show it to our potential coward. So as far as prevention, that's the most important thing, right? Is prevention. So we're standing strong, because look how this looks. I'm afraid, I'm curled up, I am in, my shoulders are rounded. There's a huge difference there on how you are perceived to someone who is looking at every individual, looking for the easiest target. Nice. Good job, Tawana. Thank you for that. That's excellent. So let's come up with our checklist of awareness. Prevention is everything. Okay. What's our environment like? That's super important. Sometimes, well, a lot of times you can't control that, what's going on around us, but we can control how we react to those environments. Are you alone? What time of day is it? My mom always said nothing good happens after midnight. And the older I get, the truer it seems, I'll tell you. Is alcohol involved? Because alcohol dulls the senses. Also, for those who may be trying to attack us, makes them more bold. That's a huge factor. So I can't repeat this enough, that criminals are cowards, so we don't want to be attractive prey. So again, we run faster than our friend who is running from the bear. We make ourselves a less attractive, or not a candidate to be a victim. So let's get to brass tacks here, folks. What can you do today on your way home, on the way to dinner, on your jog, walking the dog, hanging out with the kids, whatever it may be? What can you do today to increase your safety, your prevention in a self-defense situation just a little bit more, or a lot more, okay? And it could be as simple as putting your phone away, or, you know, that stride we're talking about, that determined walk we're talking about. It can be any of those things, but let's throw them in the chat box here, folks. Just anything, repeat answers, whatever. Let's, what can you do today? Just, and perpetually, what can you do to be safer? What can you do to stop folks from wanting to bother you? Oh gosh, Rod, you'd be surprised. I have a big old dog. I have a Bull Mastiff Siberian Husky mix. She's older than dirt, but folks, and she's the sweetest thing. She doesn't even know how to bite, but no one would ever mess with my dog. Dogs are intimidating, and they are loyal. I'm an animal guy, so that's a great. I didn't even think of that. But you can't have your dog with you at all times. But I love that while you're walking your dog, Rod. Tawana, absolutely, absolutely. Oh gosh, and you know, so Tawana made mention of flashing money at a public establishment. I am not a paranoid person, but when I'm at an ATM, yes, I use cash from time to time. But the ATM, who's watching you there? Okay, that's important, because that's where media, again, kidnappings, blah, 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 take you to the ATM, horror stories. Okay. Oh yeah, Tawana, absolutely. Be aware. Tell someone where you're going. Johanna. Oh gosh, you have a husky as well. Well, yeah, and huskies, you know, every dog breed is extremely loyal and can be an absolute weapon to anyone that they feel they're a loyal dog to you, even a tiny little dog, they are fearless. And that's why they're the greatest soldiers, police, and public officials or public safety that we have are dogs, because they don't care about their own safety. They care about you. And so, yeah, during your dog walk, your dog can be an actual source of safety as well, but we don't want to rely upon that either. Okay. So these are great suggestions, folks. So right now, let's think of a scenario. Okay. Let's think of a scenario in which so I grew up in the 80s. We had these books called Choose Your Own Adventure, right? And so we're going to have a scenario, and we're going to choose what we do moving forward to understand kind of a scenario here. So we're out somewhere. It's populated, I guess. We're out late night with friends, coworkers, family, what have you. Are we walking or are we waiting for a car? Okay. If we're walking, what do? We have a determined stride. If we have to check our phone, that kind of stuff, we do it quickly. We get our business done and move on. We have a determined stride that is aware of what is going on. Our shoulders are back. We're walking tall. We do not look afraid or timid. Okay. So, okay. And we get home, well-lit areas. Are you with people? Those things are extremely important because of that distance we have to cover, depending on how far you have to walk. Okay. We've gotten home walking. We're waiting for a car. Choose your own adventure. We're not going to stand looking at the Uber app or Lyft or whatever it is, watching exactly where they are. 5 minutes, 4 minutes, 3 minutes. Put it on vibrate. The notification will come up. You'll see the car. You don't have to mindlessly scroll. We don't have to be that afraid of boredom, folks. Okay. And it's as simple as that. Forgive me for being blunt, but a lot of that scrolling, mindless scrolling, is that we are so afraid of boredom these days that we have to immediately deal with that sensation of having nothing to do. But that can be very dangerous in these types of situations, in this scenario we're discussing. So we're going to put our phone away. Are we with people? Are we with friends? Is it a well-lit area? Do we have to travel to go meet our car? Nice, Robert. That's exactly what I'm referring to, the beeline path. Absolutely. And we also, and not using what we need to use until it's actually necessary. Our key fob, our phone, or whatever, we use it functionally and get rid of it. And we don't have to linger. Excellent, Robert. So we want to stay with people. We assess our immediate environment. Is it well lit? Is it after midnight? Are there crazy kind of people around? Do you have the sense of conflict occurring? And so therein lies, we avoid conflict at all, in all ways, shapes, and forms. But if we cannot, we never turn our back. If we can't run and someone is just dead set on messing with us for whatever reason, for whatever purpose, if we can't run and get away, we are never turning our back to them. That makes you extremely unattractive as an opponent when someone squares up with you and has their hands up. I'm like, whoa, you know how to fight, I will move on. And it changes their plan. So prevention. But if you can't prevent, we're going to square up and be ready and not be afraid. So that's our kind of going through what if, right? And so if we can't provide all this prevention, having people with us, well-lit areas, the things that are going to help us not even get there, we do want to rely on those things we talked about. A good posture, staying square, never turning our back, using our front kick, and our 1, 2, 3. And so that leads to my next point. Okay. When someone we know is aggressive towards us, and I know we're wrapping up shortly, so let me get quick here. If we know they're going to be aggressive towards us, as we say in the fight world, get off first. Do not wait for them to talk trash or push. If they are approaching you in an aggressive manner, front kick. Worry about the repercussions later. If there's an aggressive someone coming at you, you don't know what their intention is. Get off first, okay? And so, of course, we're wearing heels. flip-flops. We get off first. We want to discard with our nuisance footwear. We create distance and we run when it is possible, okay? And so we never turn our back. We mitigate by getting off first. If they want to attack us, they're not going to have a chance. They're going to end up defending themselves. They're not expecting this, and this changes the whole dynamic. So as far as getting off first, and I guess being the first person to strike, because we don't want to be hit at all. What are the laws involved in that? Well, it changes in municipality to municipality, from state to state. Honestly, I'd rather deal with a district attorney, judge, jury, police, whatever it is, as opposed to a thug who wants to take my life for my ATM card or my car. And so, but however, it is worth me mentioning, if you are able to get the better of someone and they're on the ground and you pursue it in a merciless way, stomp to the head, these kind of things, you will find yourself in legal trouble. And you've also, by doing so, you have neglected my advice of, once the threat is mitigated, get out of town. Distance, run. Okay. So that's the heart of it. But there's something I just want to touch upon before we end. Very important. Domestic violence is not as simple. We live with these people that we're having conflict with, that may want to hurt or are hurting us. It is dynamic. It is not simple. There are resources out there, both private and public, and in your local government. It's a Google away. But the case remains the same. Create distance. Run. It's not going to get better. But it's not as simple as just getting away from some jerk who wants to hurt you. So I've absolutely enjoyed this so much, folks. Again, my name is Marcus Wadsworth. I've been representing Wunsupona. I'm going to write their link again. Kind of hard to spell, but I got it. Ooh. Just hang with me for a moment. I'm not the best typer. .com. And like I said, they're a one-stop shopping for all things health, from self-defense to looking great to feeling great. Check them out. Again, my name is Marcus Wadsworth. I'm the owner of Ancient Method Fitness here in Alexandria, Virginia. I'm also going to type my email address if you have any other questions. I've enjoyed it so much. And any questions, any thoughts or discussion, folks? Okay. Oh, wonderful, Christine. You know, that brings joy to my heart. Any kind of assistance or help or kind of knowledge I can bring to the table, it's absolutely so satisfying, especially in this day and age. We need to take care of ourselves and take care of others as well. So be good to each other, folks, and stay out of trouble. Okay. And please don't hesitate to reach out to me, reach out to Wunsupona.com. They're absolutely wonderful and, cutting edge. They have everything you need. So I've enjoyed it so much. And oh gosh, Suzanne, thank you so much. Oh, so Marie, what do I do recommend for self-defense? I do recommend Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I am biased. I am a Jiu-Jitsu player, but it is the most effective of any of the given specific martial arts, because it's real world situations. We spar every class, and I don't want to intimidate anyone. It doesn't matter your skill level. Any gym worth its salt is going to be able to accommodate everyone with any given skill level. Any other questions, folks? Thank you so much. I've really enjoyed this, and maybe you can tell I'm a little bit passionate about self-defense, but thank you so much, my friends. And please do not hesitate to reach out to me, and please look up Wunsupona.com. They're fantastic. And so thank you so much. Have a great day. Oh, yeah, Robert, you're right. And also, last point. Help is yelling fire and that kind of stuff. What I've noticed these days, sorry to take the, if you're in trouble and you yell help, they say, oh no, you yell fire. Well, nowadays, folks will just come up and videotape it being assaulted. I forgive my cynicism, but it's a crazy world out there, folks. Anyway, again, thank you so much. Have a great day. Be safe out there.